Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics, back with the foundation paper piecing series. This time it's for June. These stunning colors, the aqua, that cobalt, I could not resist celebrating this amazing month with the focus being a butterfly. I know when spring and summer are, especially in early spring, early summer, the butterflies are everywhere, and I'm always looking for that magic butterfly. So this is why we chose this one. This was Diane's idea, and I just put magic fabric to that to bring it to life. Now, speaking of Diane, we have a special surprise for you at the end of this video. She has a really exciting option that is separate and different than the kit. The kit, of course, will make exactly what you're seeing, but this is kind of an enhancement to the butterfly's body. So I want to keep you in suspense. Stay with me to the end. I'll have Diane join me on set, and she can show us both this really cool technique she came up with to add some dimension to the middle part of our butterfly. But just like we've been doing up till now and for every month of our series, we're going just to the extra effort to make it just a really fun and easy to follow process so that you're, of course, getting your full color pattern. You have your foundation paper pieces, papers, I should say, 2 sets of those. We've been doing that every time. We'll continue that through the series so that you have one to practice with and one to use on your actual project. Or, hey, if you could be doing one with the kit and one not just to practice with, but make a whole nother butterfly with if you want to. And of course, the stickers. We continue to get such positive feedback on our stickers that as you cut your fabric, you sticker your fabric. You cut that fabric, you sticker it, and then get everything organized. What I've learned about foundation paper piecing is the more organized that you can be, the more successful you'll be and the more fun it will be. So just like we've done, you're going to cut your fabrics per your instructions in your pattern. Of course, identify your fabrics in your kit. Yes, that's the cream. Yes, that's the aqua they're showing me. And of course, you'll have your stickers ready. And as you're cutting your fabric, you're stickering that fabric. Once that's done, then you will organize that stack. So for us today, the section we'll be making together is the B, letter B section. And so I have 10 pieces. And so B1, B2, and all the way down. So I'm getting myself organized up front. So once we start the process, we just go right through and you're not scrambling and, there's pieces all over the table or stickers all over the table. You get the idea. Stay organized. So as we've done before, when we get ready to actually start using the papers, we will roughly cut around our sections, making sure that we're not cutting on that outermost line yet. That happens in the end once everything is now sewn to the papers and we get ready to trim up. So I've done that here ahead of time with our section B. And something else I've done this time, because we definitely hear your comments. We hear people, a few people have said, I didn't have my fabric in the right position. I didn't visualize where to put that fabric. Something Diane has seen in other places on the internet that people have suggested could be helpful is to use a light box and turn your shape over and actually trace the lines, because you can now see them, with a pencil. Be sure to use a pencil, not a pen. That pen could transfer to your fabric. And of course, if it's a lighter colored fabric, could be very problematic. So I've done that very thing. I've just used my light box, flipped my paper over, and I drew on those lines with a pencil. This is not a requirement. If you are having no problem with the foundation paper piecing process, skip this. If you've been having some inconsistent results, you might find this to be helpful. So we will do that together that way. So just like we've done in our previous months, we're always going to say, where is our very first fabric? That's B1, and it's this beautiful, just like crystals. It's so pretty. When I was choosing fabrics, I think I was smiling the whole time because it's such a beautiful palette of colors that we were going for. And I thought this fabric was very dynamic. For the very first piece of each section, you're always going to do just a little bit of glue, and it's the only piece really that needs to get the glue. And of course, our goal is to visualize a 1/4 inch all the way around that shape so that when we place that piece down, we confidently know we absolutely have coverage all the way around, and we can see easily that is the case. So right away, we will begin to say B2 is next. I'm going to grab my add a 1/4. I'll use my pink set today. And this isn't just for marketing. We're going to use it as a tool to lay along that line. And we'll fold back our paper, just the paper, not the fabric. Kind of crease that with your nail. And I like to take a look to make sure that I did crease it right on the line. I have done that before where I thought I creased it and I didn't. So take a look at that. Once we have that creased back, this is where we will use our add a 1/4 ruler, and that's that lip we've been talking about. That's what makes these so special, is that it puts us at the perfect place, the perfect 1/4 inch to now trim. So of course, B2, fabric B2 now comes into play. Let me try to stay organized here. And this is another beautiful fabric. This is from In the Beginning Fabrics. I love the watercolor look of that I could not resist. So again, as let's look at our light box. As we look at this, the whole goal is that piece B2, we have a good 1/4 inch coverage all around this shape right here, this. So you want to visualize that. I wouldn't want to be over here, right? Because I don't have that coverage. So that's part of that visualization. That's a very good place to be. Now let's talk about using the back side of that, right? So we've trimmed this, and we know that our next shape will be back here. See how that just helps you see it a little bit better? You don't need the aid of the light box the whole time. It's so much easier to see it when you're just kind of taking a peek. So once you're satisfied you're at the right location, just like we've done before, we'll position that stacked. Pin, we have that shortened stitch length at about a 1.5, and I have an open toe foot on my Bernina so I can see that line very clearly. It's very important that you're sewing intentionally right on that line. So I'll start stitching 3 stitches before my line. About 3 stitches is a good one. And end 3 after. Remember that TSP, trim, sew, which we just did, and press. So we will press to the outside. Those colors are so beautiful. Absolutely extraordinary. Now, before I trim anything, you can either take it back to your light box, make sure you have it, or you're just kind of taking that look, right? We drew that shape to see, did we get coverage? We absolutely did. Okay, we're happy with that. Next is 3. I'll show you one more time, and then I will go finish this piece so we can be able to move on. We fold it back, we check, hold it one more time. Happy with that. We'll trim, think I'm due for a replacement blade on that rotary cutter. All right, and then our next fabric, oh my gosh. This is Bliss Basics from Northcott Fabrics, and I think these fabrics are so dynamic. They come in a beautiful array of colors, any color you could want. They add a lot of dimension. If you're ever doing a quilt with like ocean theme or anything that's very watercolory and you're looking for a really dynamic collection of fabric, check out Bliss Basics from Northcott. It's the ongoing basic, and I'm so glad they're keeping this going because you can see, it just adds so much dimension and character. And no two pieces, depending, especially when you're doing a quilt like this, a project like this, are going to be the same, right? I love the variability of that. So just like we've done before, we're trying to make sure that we have really good coverage. We've given you plenty of fabric. You definitely have that. As long as you keep visualizing that 1/4 of an inch all the way around the shape, you're going to be just fine. So again, we will be here folding that back. And if I just use my lines I've drawn, I can really see that when I fold this back, I absolutely have coverage. It's really nice having that drawn on the back side. So once you are satisfied with your placement, just like we've done, flip it over. We'll start 3 stitches before here, sew on the line, and 3 stitches here. I'm going to keep building this. Now, I just want to point this out. When you get over here to this piece, there's going to be a lot of things that have jetted out in there. Remember, it's okay to tear the paper. If you've got thread in here, but you need to pull your paper back to get to that line, just do it. That's part of the process. So, for example, when I get to B6, I am just going to pull that back so that that line is exposed. We've done that before. I'll go ahead and get this put together. When I come back, we're going to sew the elements together to create our beautiful butterfly. And I'll even put up those borders on for us. So when Diane comes in to join us, she can show you this very exciting option she has for the very center of our butterfly. I'll be right back. So I'm back, and before I trimmed up my section, I want to show you what that looks like, because every time I do this, I'm like, did I do that right? It, of course, doesn't look exactly like we think that it should, but we are good. So now we will place this with the right side down, wrong side up. Works great with a spinning mat, not required, but I love to just be able to rotate around the piece versus having to pick it up and move it. So we will trim around this on that outermost line. And as you can see up above here, the other sections are done. The left side is sewn together. The bottom right quadrant is done. And now we're just going to be assembling that small piece in that upper right quadrant along with this larger piece. And we'll go ahead and sew that to the middle section. And then I can't wait to bring Diane in. I might even skip putting the borders on because, of course, I would be tearing the paper off before I do that. And I just want you to see that really cool option she has in mind for us. Let's see where we go with that, though. Let's see how our timing goes. Okay, we have this portion now. So let's look at our pattern. Again, our pattern's going to guide you. Once you make your sections, we're not going to leave you wondering what happens next, right? You've got all your sections. They're sewn together, trimmed up, and we can see this is this portion right here, and we've done our other portion. So we will always be guiding you into placing right sides together. You could increase your stitch length if you want to, or leave it on that shorter stitch length. I think I'm just going to leave it right there. I've got lovely lines to sew on. I don't need to go find a 1/4 inch seam allowance right now because I'm just going to sew on a drawn line. I don't know if you can see it from the overhead camera. The white that I picked for the background isn't just a white. It is embedded in, it's a rubber coffin fabric, and it's embedded with a little bit of glitter metallic to make it just more magical. I thought it'd be a really pretty enhancement. And it's nice. What I love too is it's thicker. So I'm not seeing any of the other colors kind of showing through their seams. So you can look forward to that being in your kit as well. We really put our whole heart into these projects, as you can see from the design to fabric selection to the way we put your kits together, trying to provide really valuable tools and resources to help you be successful. And then, of course, with our instruction, we're hoping that any questions you might have will be really answered in our tutorials. Still, if there's something you have, leave us a question. We read all of those. We want you to have fun and be successful, right? That's what we're all after when we're creating and crafting. Nobody wants to be wondering, I'm confused. So we're here for you. We're reading your comments. Once this is done, we talked about sewing this together. Again, placing that right side together, we would just simply sew on the line, press that open, and then join that here. Let me go ahead and do that process. If there's anything that I discover as I'm sewing that together, that's maybe a pointer I want to mention, I will. Otherwise, it'll just be kind of quickly sewn together so we can move on to that really cool option that Diane has for us. Yes, I do want to mention something to you. Horizontally, we've got our upper portion and our lower portion of our wings. For the body portion, notice there's a seam here. You can maybe see that a little bit better here, right there. So there is this horizon, I would say. So as I look at this, many times I'm aligning those two here. This is different. I want that horizontal vantage point, that place, to line up first. So I am definitely going to pin that location very carefully and almost see how I roll that back and make sure that's exactly where it should be. We'll pin there first and then make everything else fit. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that and get that sewn together. Okay, the moment we've been waiting for. We want to see our butterfly. Look at that. Isn't that just so beautiful? Oh my gosh. I've seen a blue butterfly, I think, maybe twice in my whole life. And it was of course, you can never grab your camera fast enough. It was a fleeting moment and you just have to memorize that. Of course, give that a good press. We'll be removing all the paper. That's a lot of paper to remove. And then you're sewing your borders on just to save us time. I had mentioned I was going to sew the borders on, but I would not want to sew them on without removing my paper first. So just to save us time, we understand that step. That's not different. We've done that in previous months. Remove your paper, get your borders on, and then, of course, normally, or maybe you're going to just keep it like this. You're not going to maybe do the enhancement that Diane's going to show us, which is a fun option. Just like we've done before, you can always go back to that very first video where we talked about our batting, our backing, the hanging sleeve on the back. Of course, you've got the table display. There's the French curl. Maybe you want to hang that on the wall next to your desk or whomever maybe you're giving that to for a gift. But I'll clean up a bit. We'll get Diane on set with me, and I'm very excited to have her show you this. This is a option. Again, if you love this exactly as is, you can just maybe watch this technique and maybe apply it to a different project. We always love being able to transfer techniques to different projects at different times. So I'll get everything cleaned up. I'll have Diane join us, and we'll get moving toward that beautiful option she showed me now a few weeks back. I'm back, and I have Diane with me on set today. She had shown me this really cool option that now you're noticing is on our butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, as she was trying to teach it to me, I thought, people love to see you.
Oh, thank you.
And I'd rather they hear it from you first person.
Okay.
So take it away. I just think that was a really cool idea to add texture.
Right. Well, some of us like to follow the pattern exactly as it is. And I'm kind of a rebel. I don't. I just like to personalize things and make them my own a little bit. And so I had this idea to just kind of add a little bit of texture, a little bit of sparkle, and maybe that's not you. Maybe you are a classic person and you just like it just the way it is. And traditionally, paper piecing doesn't have a lot of embellishment, but we were just thinking it might be fun to go outside the box a little bit and just add something that would be totally optional. It's, you can choose to do it or not. But I just wanted to show you my ideas, and that might spur some ideas of your own. And, if you do make this and add some new embellishments, we would love to see pictures on Facebook and Instagram and so on, and show us what you've done so that you can inspire us and others that are making these. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make like a fringe, and that's going to go over the body of the butterfly. And so to do that, I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to look and I'm going to measure what the finished size of the body is. So I've measured this before, so I'm not really measuring it now. I'm like, how did she do that so fast? So it's 3/4 inch wide finished. And I want to extend my paper initially about 1/2 inch above and beyond on top and bottom. So it's going to end up being about 5.5 inches. So that's what I'm going to cut my paper that I'm going to use as the base for my fringe. I'm going to cut it 3/4 wide and 5.5 inches long. And so I have a fold in the paper because I want 2 thicknesses. And so I'll lay this down. Here's my fold, and I'll put my 3/4 here, and then I'm just going to use the rotary cutter and cut that along. And I think I already am 5.5 inches. Yes, I am.
No, nice.
Okay, yes. All right, so we're going to use the Dazzle thread, and it's got some metallic in there, really shiny rayon mixed with some sparkle, and so I just thought this would be super fun.
It's beautiful.
It really is pretty. And, when you add that to it, it just really pops. And so that's exactly what I wanted, is something that would just add that fun element. So that's the thread that we're going to use. And if you choose to do this, it would be an add-on that you can find right on the page there. So I have a spool that I've already started using. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the thread and I want to secure it so it doesn't unravel on me. And I just have a piece of tape, and I'm just going to lay that tape right at the end.
Okay.
All right, so it's secure there. Now, you're going to need a lot of thread, so I'm going to go ahead and pull quite a bit off of the spool and get it ready to go. All right, so I'm going to be winding, and I'm going to wind around many, many times. And I want it snug, but I don't want it tight that it starts curling my paper. And you can see that I'm going to wind a bit, and then I'm going to push them down to the bottom so that it will all bunch together. And my goal is I'm going to do this until the entire strip is covered with the thread.
Not seeing any white.
No, because actually the thicker the thread, the fluffier my fringe is going to be. And I'm going for maximum fluff here. So that way.
Okay, well, we will be back when she has it all wound.
It's going to take me a hot minute. So,
and then we just take the end. Well, I'll let you show them that.
Okay, all right.
I'll help if you need me.
Okay.
Let me know how I can help. We'll be right back when that's all wound and take us to the next place.
All right. So now I have come to the end, and you can see I have put a nice thick layer of thread all the way down this strip of paper. And so to finish off, I'm just going to go ahead and snip it. And I want to secure the other end with a piece of tape as well. And so that's just going to hold it there so it doesn't unravel. Okay, so this is the part where you get to help me.
Okay.
All right.
What do I do?
What we're going to do is we're going to take this over to the sewing machine. And I found a color of thread that I had at home that was just the best match for this dark, deep navy or royal blue, whatever you want to.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want it to show, I thought about using threads from our thread set, and it was just a little lighter, but I just thought a little bit darker thread would be best. So here's what I'm going to have you do. You're going to take this over to the machine, and you are going to sew right down the middle, right over the top of the threads, and then you're going to turn around and go back, and then just for extra stability, we're going to do a second trip down and back up so that these are actually sewn down a total of 4 times. Now, this is going to help us because each time the needle passes through, it's going to be piercing the paper again. And we know that that's an important thing in paper piecing, that we want to perforate the paper. So I'll have you do that. Now, I want to just give you a little tip when you do this.
That's good.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing with this.
Yeah. So when you're sewing over these, because we've got all those layers of threads, sometimes they want to pop up a little bit and be a little unruly. So what I would suggest is using your purple thing and just pressing down in front of your presser foot so that those threads are laying flat and you can glide over the top of them instead of catching.
Is that why you put that?
That is why I stuck that out there, yeah.
This was coming into play.
Yeah. So again, down, up, down, up. And I would also suggest a smaller stitch length, just like we've been using for our paper piecing. And so 1.5 to 2. Okay. And so I'm going to give you that.
Okay. Right down the middle.
Yeah.
I can see where that purple thing kind of just keeps it from the presser foot hooking around the thread even.
Exactly. And it allows you to go right in between.
And so they don't move. They'll just lift up and turn
and
go back.
Just flip it around. And you may or may not need that after they've been flattened down once.
The first time. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of that first pass.
Right.
Pretty cool technique here so far.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Okay.
Good. Oh, that looks just perfect. All right. So now that we have it sewn down, we're going to turn it into fringe. So the first step of that is you're just going to take some scissors and whatever you have that's got the sharpest little blade, and you're just going to work in between the thread and the paper. And I'm letting that lower blade kind of ride along the paper. And I'm just snipping away a few at a time, and I'm cutting those loops and freeing them, if you will. I cut the paper, but that's okay. We're going to get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's history anyway.
It is. Okay, so I think I've cut them all. If I haven't, I'll find out. And I'm going to go ahead and very carefully snip off the extra paper on the ends. All right, so if this has worked the way I'm hoping it did, I should be able to kind of wiggle this paper. And because it's been perforated by the needle, there we go.
Oh, look at that.
It's just pulling away. Now, if I did miss any of the threads, I can go back and cut those again.
Oh, that's what when you were saying,
Yeah,
you'll find out.
I will.
Yep.
That's exactly what that means. And so, yeah, I'm going to pull that out. And there we go. And you can kind of start to see this fringe emerging. There we go. That's pulled out. And I'm going to go with the other side. It should actually come out a little bit easier since the first side has gone already.
Look at
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that. Okay. So we're not there yet, as you can see.
Right?
But we're on our way. I have a few threads that are being a little bit naughty, so I'm going to give them a little haircut. All right, so I have this piece, kind of looks like a woolly caterpillar.
True.
Yeah, that's right. So
It was a caterpillar before, right?
that's right. Oh, that's what this looked like.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So now I'm going to just kind of lay this on there, and I'm going to make sure that I might need to adjust my length a little bit. So I have this lined up right at the top, and I pull this down, and I can see that it's a little bit longer than I want it to be.
Okay.
So I'm going to trim a little bit off, and it makes a lot of fuzz, which we can pull off later with like a lint roller or some tape or something. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to give you another job, and we are going to sew this right on to the caterpillar.
Oh my gosh.
Not the caterpillar, the butterfly. Now, you can pin it, but you really don't need to. I'm going to let you decide if that's what you want to do. Let's maybe just put one up here to get us started, because really there's nothing to pin to because these are just all open pieces. So actually, I'm going to change my mind again. I'm just going to, just
kind of guide it.
kind of guide it. You want it centered,
Okay.
and that's the next step.
All right. Guys, I'm in unknown territory. So
That's right.
We're experiencing this together. Diane, do I want that to be right at the point of that?
Maybe an eighth of an inch back.
Above it?
Below it.
Below it?
Below it.
Oh, okay.
Into the blue.
A little bit below.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep my eye on that to start, I think. And then down here, if it's a little bit longer, should I stop so we can trim it?
Yeah, I would stop it and get about an eighth of an inch before you hit.
Okay.
Sometimes it stretches out a little bit as you're sewing, which is fine. And we can fine tune the length as you go.
Trying to get this as straight as I can get it here.
Perfect.
Yeah, as you can see, I'll need to cut that
Okay.
an eighth an inch before
Correct.
the end.
Yeah. We don't want it to hang off too much.
Okay, let me check that. Let's do that. I better trim it a little bit more. What a cool idea. So many times you kind of left shopping for trims that are available on the market. Here you could make your own trim.
And with the number of colors of thread that are available, that it can match exactly how you want it to.
Amazing.
Yeah, I like that.
Beautiful. Should I go through this more than one time, or is
I think one is going to be plenty. Since we went up and back a couple of times when we initially made it, it'll be fine.
it kind of tends to grow a little bit?
It does. It does.
I trimmed it, but it kind of
That's
stretched
all right.
out a little
We'll
bit.
trim it some
You think
more.
we'll be okay with that?
I do.
Okay.
All right. So I want to now mimic the point of his head and his tail.
Oh.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut these at an angle a little bit. And you may find that you do this several times, but I just want that point to be noticeable.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And so I'll cut a little bit off each end, and you can see it makes such a mess. But if you're not making a mess, you're not having fun.
That's true.
Yes. And I ultimately do this trimming a few times because the threads just somehow keep appearing.
Sure.
So I'm going to brush away what I can for now. All right. So we're mostly there, and it's flat right now, and I want it to puff up. And so I kind of played around with some different things. And what I determined worked the best was I was going to steam them. Now, I'm not going to put the iron on with any pressure. I want the iron to hover, and I want to keep pressing that steam button, and I want these, and the steam is going to kind of soften the fibers a little bit, and then I'll come in and I'll start fluffing like this after I've steamed it. And I'm going to do that as many times as it takes. And it took a few times of getting it to be as puffy as I wanted.
And this Oliso, as you can see, makes amazing. Look at that.
Yes.
What?
It started puffing up all by itself. And you can see that I'm just kind of pinching the fibers from the outside and kind of like trying to raise them up. And it's just come to life already.
No way.
You know, I think the iron I used in my sample didn't have quite the steam that this one does.
That is
Gonna do it one more time.
amazing.
But yeah, it just really gave it a lot of texture.
I'm just blown away by that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
How it responds to the steam.
Right.
And
right.
almost goes toward it.
It does. It just releases it and gives it the ability to move around a little bit. So I feel like I'm pretty much there. So that, I mean, and it's fun to just,
That's very satisfying.
It is.
Oh.
So what I would do at this point is if I needed to clean it up a little more, I would.
Sure.
And then I would get some tape or a lint roller and get rid of all of my lint. But then, I would even take my thread and maybe embroider some little antennas. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh.
You can do whatever you want in terms of embellishment. You could add in the wings if you choose to with some decorative stitches, but just even antenna would add a lot. But anyway, I just feel like it's just a fun little addition to give that guy some texture.
And you are so right. We give you a pattern, you have a pattern, and you always have the next level thing to do with it.
Exactly.
That's what makes you what makes you you. It is so fun. So, again, you can have the project as the kit provides. And we use 2 colors of 50 weight thread to do a little bit of our top quilting. Or if you want to add, and you would do that the same, no matter what, because this would be separate and different. Just pick up that, maybe a dark blue. We'll try to put this color in there.
Yeah.
Or maybe whatever you have at home.
Right.
Thank you so much. I mean, and we're just getting we've got the 2 projects, the tulip and the rose, and now this. I can't even imagine what she's going to come up with.
I think I may need to embellish those over there.
So thank you, Diane, for joining me today. We hope you're enjoying the series. Diane is the one that is putting the designs together. I'm adding fabric to that and getting to bring those to you each month. If you haven't subscribed, do that. Hit the bell. That way you're automatically notified when we have new videos for you. And we will see you soon on another Shabby video.